It was a cold and desolate night. I was driving on a narrow, winding road through a dense forest, my gas gauge hovering near empty. The nearest gas station was miles away, and anxiety gnawed at my nerves. My cell phone had no signal, and the only light came from my dim headlights. As I continued, the road seemed to stretch on forever, and the trees pressed in around me, casting eerie shadows. That's when I saw it, a figure standing on the side of the road, waving for help. With reluctance, I pulled over, my heart pounding. A disheveled man with wild eyes approached, his voice trembling. He claimed his car had broken down and asked for a ride to the nearest town. Desperation clouded his features, and against my better judgment, I agreed. We drove in silence for a while, but the man's unease was palpable. Suddenly, he turned to me with a wicked grin and whispered, "You shouldn't have stopped." As his words hung in the air, my truck's engine sputtered and died. Panic coursed through me as I realized I'd fallen into a trap. The man's grin widened, and I could see that his eyes were filled with malevolence. I tried to restart the engine, but it was futile. The man began muttering in an incomprehensible language, and the forest around us came alive with sinister, shadowy figures. I was paralyzed with fear as they closed in on the truck, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Just when I thought it was the end, distant headlights pierced the darkness. Another vehicle approached, and the figures scattered into the woods. A group of fellow travelers had saved me, unaware of the sinister trap they'd interrupted. The man and the shadowy figures vanished into the night, and I was left shaken and grateful for my unexpected saviors. I'll never forget the night when running out of gas led me to the brink of something otherworldly and malevolent.
I had been driving for hours on a remote desert highway, the sweltering sun beating down on me relentlessly. My gas gauge had been dancing on empty for a while, and the nearest gas station was nowhere in sight. Panic started to creep in as I realized I might run out of fuel in the middle of nowhere. As I continued, the road seemed to stretch on endlessly, and the landscape grew increasingly desolate. There wasn't another vehicle in sight, and the oppressive silence weighed on me. The sun dipped below the horizon, and I was plunged into darkness. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, the engine sputtered, and the truck came to a shuddering halt. I was out of gas. I cursed my luck and tried to keep calm, knowing I had to figure out a solution. With no cell phone signal and no other option, I decided to set out on foot, hoping to find help or a gas station. I took my flashlight and walked along the desolate highway. As I trudged through the darkness, an eerie feeling washed over me. I heard strange, distant whispers carried by the wind, and shadows seemed to move just out of the beam of my flashlight. The desert was playing tricks on my mind. Hours passed, and I stumbled upon an old, abandoned gas station. It was a relief to find shelter, but something felt off. The building was dilapidated, and the air was heavy with an unsettling stillness. I cautiously entered the station, my flashlight revealing dusty shelves filled with long-expired products. The place looked like it had been abandoned for years. I couldn't help but wonder how it could still be standing. As I turned to leave, a voice echoed through the station. "You shouldn't have come here." I spun around, my flashlight illuminating a gaunt figure in the shadows. It was a disheveled man, his eyes filled with madness. Before I could react, he lunged at me, and my flashlight dropped to the ground, plunging me into darkness. The nightmarish encounter left me trembling with fear. I managed to escape the gas station and eventually found help, but I can't forget the eerie whispers and the sinister warning that I should never have stopped there.
It was a stormy night, and the rain was coming down in torrents. I was on a winding, isolated road in the mountains, my gas gauge nearing empty. Panic set in as I realized the nearest gas station was miles away, and the storm was making it difficult to see the road ahead. As I continued, the lightning flashed, revealing the towering trees that surrounded me. The thunder boomed, and the darkness outside was punctuated by the intermittent bursts of white light. It was a scene straight out of a horror movie, with each passing mile. My anxiety grew, and I kept praying that I'd make it to the gas station. That's when I saw a dim, flickering light up ahead. My heart raced, thinking it might be a sign of civilization. But as I got closer, I realized it was a decrepit, abandoned gas station. Desperation took hold, and I pulled over, hoping to find some leftover fuel in the decrepit pumps. I grabbed my flashlight and braved the torrential rain to investigate. The old station creaked in the wind, and the raindrops echoed eerily on the roof. I approached the rusted fuel pumps, but something about the place felt off. The air was heavy with an unsettling stillness, and I could sense I wasn't alone. That's when I heard a soft, haunting whisper carried by the wind. "Help me." I spun around, my flashlight illuminating a shadowy figure by the station's entrance. It was a woman, her face obscured by matted hair. She beckoned me to approach, her voice pleading, but a sense of dread washed over me, and I hesitated. As I took a step back, I noticed more figures emerging from the darkness. Their eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and their gaunt faces were filled with malevolence. The woman's plea turned into a sinister hiss, and they advanced toward me. I turned and ran back to my truck, my heart pounding. I prayed that there would be enough fuel left to escape this nightmare. The engine roared to life, and I sped away from the cursed gas station, leaving the figures and their eerie whispers behind. I eventually made it to the gas station I'd been desperately searching for, but I can't shake the feeling that the storm had led me to that sinister place, a place where the lost and the malevolent beckon to unsuspecting travelers in their time of need.